football fans, we are ready for NFL picks for week number 13 in the league where they play for pay. And let's get right to it. Rolling right along. I had a monster week last week, not only with my regular picks, but I added a lot of over and unders on Sunday, and I cleaned up. When playing over and unders, check the weather. Snow, rain, wind, check all that stuff. There was a lot of bad weather around the country, especially in the Northeast on Sunday, and it really affected the games. Dallas, New England is a perfect example. I think that over and under was 45. I saw the weather, bet the game under, and you saw the score, 13-9. Check the weather when playing over and under. So I absolutely cleaned up last week. So week 13, very tricky week because it's Thanksgiving week, holiday, travel, getting towards the end of the year. You never know who's focused at this time of the year with the holiday. Very tricky week. And I always tell you guys, you don't have to bet every week. You don't have to bet every game. Maybe take a week off. Maybe, just bet a few games. Maybe just bet light this week. You don't have to bet every game every single week. I always tell you that with the Super Bowl. You don't have to bet the Super Bowl. It's one game. But anyway, let's get to the picks. Everyone's playing this week. Buys are done. So let's get to week number 13. Pick number 1. Let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Not too far from here with the Green Bay Packers a minus 7.5 against the New York Football Giants. Giants down to 2-9, lost to Chicago. Listen, you can't be surprised by the season the Giants have. They don't have any talent. They're not any good. We know that. You hope Jones develops. He looks like he has some potential. That's what you hope for the Giants. They don't have much talent at all. And by the way, happy birthday to my cousin Nick, who turns 25 today. He's a big Giant fan. I know he's struggling through this season, but Nick, the Giants smell. You're just going to have to accept it. Hopefully the quarterback develops and you have something there. But anyway, happy birthday to Nick. All right, Green Bay, like I said, 7.5 over the Giants. Green Bay down to 8-3, lost to San Francisco, and they just got demolished. I mean, they got beat up by San Francisco. This game was over early. This was one of the few games I got wrong. I thought Green Bay would hang in the game. This game was over early. Rodgers fumbled right away. San Francisco punched it in from the 1-yard line, and you basically could have turned off your set right there on Sunday Night Football. This was an absolute bombing. I mean, that's the second time now in a few weeks Green Bay has gone to the coast and gotten hammered. They got destroyed by the Chargers. They got destroyed now by the Niners. That's not a good sign for Green Bay. And I think Green Bay's a good team. They made some good free agent acquisitions. They're still tied with Minnesota, but now no more leeway. And Minnesota, they play Green Bay, at the end of the year in Minnesota. Green Bay might end up being a wild card team when all's said and done. You just don't know at this point. So that was an awful, awful loss by Green Bay. As far as this game, perfect 2-team teaser game. Move it to 1.5 and take the Packers. You have to think Green Bay is going to respond this week. They have to be humiliated by that performance, and the Giants are a team they can handle. Like I said, the Giants don't have a lot of talent. They stink. They're not any good. There'll be a ton of Packer fans in New Jersey. This is a game Green Bay should get through and should bounce back and win. So Green Bay is pick number 1. Pick number 2. Let's go down to South Beach, Florida, with the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. And there hasn't been much of that this year. A minus 7.5 against the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins down to 2-9, lost to Cleveland. No surprise there. Philadelphia down to 5-6, lost to Seattle. Philadelphia just absolutely no consistency this year. I mean, they had some nice wins. They won in Green Bay. They won in Buffalo. But they haven't been able to put anything together, especially on offense. The defense has been hanging in there, but the offense, Wentz has been bad. They're not scoring any points. Now Wentz is banged up. He should play. Oh, Philadelphia's been a major disappointment. Now we're 2 years out from when they won the Super Bowl. They can't have a Super Bowl hangover 2 years later. And because of Dallas, losing, the Eagles are still only one game out of first place, and they play Dallas one more time in Philly. So Philly's still got a lot to play for here. They got to start putting some wins together. You would hope they can handle Miami. Again, perfect two-team teaser game like the first game. Move it to 1.5. You have to like Philadelphia. You can't like Miami. There'll be a ton of Bird fans down there in South Florida getting away from the cold. Philly's got to be able to handle Miami. This is a must win. You have to be able to take care of Miami, and I think they will. And one other thing, and I don't mean to pick on Philadelphia because just about every team in the league has done this. I've had enough of the group celebrations on defense when you make a play. You know, when the team recovers a fumble and the whole team runs in the end zone and is posing, you know, doing this, you know, enough already. Listen, there's a time and a place for all of that. And if you just made a big play to seal the Super Bowl, I could see it. But Philadelphia was down 17-3 in this game. Second half, they recover a fumble, and the whole defense runs into the end zone, and they're posing for the camera. Hey, look at me. We just recovered a fumble. Doesn't matter we're down 17. Doesn't matter we're down 17-3. Doesn't matter we're going down to 5-6 for an overall record. We're gonna pose. Yeah, take that selfie of us. Yeah, down 17-3. And I've talked about celebrations for years. I can't take it anymore. You know, you're down 42-10, you score a touchdown, and we're going to do a little dance. Yeah, I'm down 42-17. Let me get mine. I'm going to do a little boogie here. Yeah, let's go. Enough. And I don't mean to pick on Philadelphia because every team in the league has done this. I can't take it anymore. Down 17-3, you recover a fumble, and the whole defense runs into the end zone. Hey, look at me. Yeah, we recovered a fumble. We're down 14 points. Yeah, we're going to 5-6. Let's go. Enough. It's a little much. Calm that stuff down. Can't take it. Can't take when someone scores down 42-10 and they're doing the boogie. Yeah, let's go. I'm down 30 points, but I'm going to get mine. Anyway, Philly, two-team teaser, pick number 2. Pick number 3. Let's go down to Carolina with the Carolina Panthers, a -9 against the Washington Redskins. Washington up to 2-9, beat Detroit, actually got a win. I mean, what a terrible job by Detroit. We'll get to them later. So Washington finally gets a win. Carolina down to 5-6. They lost a heartbreaker to New Orleans. They came back from multiple big deficits. They're down 14-0. They're down 13 points. You think they're finished, and they came rallying back, and they lost a heartbreaker. They missed a chip shot field goal at the end. They missed 2 extra points, and then they let the Saints kick the game-winning field goal. That was a heartbreaker for Carolina. That was the best they played in about a month. And they let that game slip away. They could have easily won that game. Could have got them to 6-5. Now they're 5-6. They haven't won in a long time now. Oh, that was a tough loss for Carolina. A real tough loss for them. Listen, 3-team teaser game. Move it. You know, you get 9 points in a 3-team teaser. Move it to pick them. Take Carolina. I got to see that Washington can win 2 games in a row. Yeah, they beat Detroit, who stinks. But I mean, I don't think Washington's going to go on the road and win 2 in a row. And Carolina, they actually played inspired football last week. I think they'll have enough to take care of this bad Washington team at home. So that's pick number 3. Pick number 4. Let's go to the Big D in Dallas. The 4:30 Thanksgiving game. Jerry's World. With the Dallas Cowboys, a -7 against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo up to 8-3, beat Denver. Buffalo having a very nice year. Very nice year. They're taking care of business against the teams they should beat, Buffalo. They've had a very nice year, Buffalo, 8-3. Dallas, they're down to 6-5, lost to New England in the rain and the cold, and it was a tough game. They couldn't get anything done on offense. Neither team could really. I mean, I had a little problem with the broadcasters and Jerry Jones and everyone else saying this was like a must-win for Dallas and this was a huge setback. They played New England on the road. Did they really expect to actually win this game? They were acting like they lost to Cincinnati or something. They lost to New England in a monsoon. It was really no disgrace to me. I mean, there's plenty to pick on with Dallas and Garrett, but I don't know if this was the time to do it. I mean, they've had plenty of bad losses over the years. But I don't know if I'd focus on this game. Everyone's saying this was a must-win game. You know, Dallas has to win to be relevant. They are still in first place. They still have a good chance to make the playoffs. They could end up 11-5 for all we know. And at this point, just get into the tournament. And who knows what happens. We've seen wild card teams or teams that didn't have the best record win the Super Bowl. We've seen it a bunch of times. So it was a little much that everyone was going crazy that they lost to New England. I mean, did they actually think they were supposed to go into New England and win? New England doesn't lose home games. It was 13-9. They were right in the game in a monsoon. Let's calm it down. There's plenty to pick on, with the Cowboys. I don't know if this was the time to do it. Another thing. Troy Aikman, a very tough spot for Troy Aikman, who is a lifetime Cowboy, to do a national broadcast with the Cowboys. I know plenty of Homer announcers. We have one right here in New York for the Knicks, Clyde Frazier. Great player. But the way he talks about the Knicks, you think the Knicks are undefeated every year. He's such a homer. But remember, that's on the local Knick broadcast. So that's a little different than if he was doing it on like TNT, a national broadcast. Very tough for Troy Aikman to be objective when he's covering the Cowboys. There were 2 questionable tripping penalties. I personally wouldn't have called either one of them. The guest ref said he would have, so he thought they were penalties, especially the second one. Aikman threw a fit on the second one, and you could tell that he was rooting for the Cowboys there. And you can't really blame the guy. He was a lifetime Cowboy. It's hard for him not to be emotional when he's covering the Cowboys. It's almost like Phil Simms when he's covering the Giants or anybody else that's covering their hometown team. But it's tough to have him on a national broadcast covering the Cowboys because you could see that he was rooting for the Cowboys at the end. And when that tripping call went against him, he got extra angry. And he was going at it with the official in the booth. He didn't want to hear that was a tripping call. And you could see this wasn't just a regular game. This wasn't, Indianapolis, against, Tennessee for Troy. You could see the Cowboys were involved here. He definitely was rooting for the Dallas Cowboys. And by the way, personally, I wouldn't have called that tripping penalty, but the referee said it was a good call, so what do I know? Anyway, Dallas -7 at home against Buffalo. I'm going to move the line to 1 and take Dallas. I think Dallas is going to respond here. This is a very tough spot for Buffalo. Short week. You're on the road against an angry Cowboy team that has their back up against the wall. Buffalo would show me a lot if they won this game. And if they win this game, I will talk about them, all next Tuesday. And what a great win this was. Or what a very good win this was. Short week on the road in Dallas. Dallas coming off that tough loss to New England. Everyone's pounding Dallas this week. You have to think Dallas is going to respond. I have a feeling they're going to respond at home. They're going to get that offense cooking. If there's any bad weather in Dallas, they'll close that roof. That won't be a factor like it was on Sunday. I think Dallas is going to respond. And again, I don't like the Thursday games, especially with the short week. Now listen, I would keep the Detroit and Dallas games on Thanksgiving, but I would also play all the teams involved in Thanksgiving the week before. Play back-to-back Thursday games and then go from there. This is a big advantage for Dallas on a short week playing at home, and I think they'll take advantage of it. So I like Dallas here, 2-team teaser -1. Buffalo would show me a lot if they won this game. But I got to go with Dallas here to respond. That's pick number 4. How about them Cowboys? Pick number 5. Let's go to Baltimore for an absolutely awesome game. And you got some very good games this week. Some games with a lot of playoff, ramifications. This game is outstanding. The Baltimore Ravens at home, -4.5 against the San Francisco 49ers. This is a dream matchup. This could be a Super Bowl preview. San Francisco up to 10-1. Beat Green Bay. Kittle and Sanders came back. They make all the difference on offense. The Niners look like a completely different team. You know their defense is awesome. Quarterback played well. Hey, Stephen A. Smith, how did Garoppolo play this week? I didn't hear you bashing him this week because he played very well. San Francisco 10-1 having an outstanding season. Outstanding. Their pass defense is awesome. And then you got the Baltimore Ravens 9-2. They look unstoppable at this point. They just mashed the Rams into the ground. They obliterated the Rams in Los Angeles. I mean, I could not believe how badly they beat the Rams last night. This game was also over early. This was a complete destruction. I mean, Baltimore is on absolute fire here. You know what it reminded me of last night when Baltimore beat the Rams? You ever see the King Kong back in the 70s with Jessica Lange and Jeff Bridges, when at the end of the movie, King Kong steps on the oil guy and all you see left of him is his hat? Well, that's what this reminded me of last night. Baltimore just stepped on the Rams, and all you saw left of the Rams was their helmet. There was nothing left of them. That's how much the Ravens just obliterated them. The Ravens are on absolute fire. They are smoking hot. I mean, smoking hot. Quarterback awesome. Defense awesome. They are doing everything right. This game is just a fabulous. And I don't recommend betting these type of games. These are the type of games you sit back and watch and enjoy. You don't put money on these games. But I'm going to take a chance here. And I'm going to move the line to 10.5 and take the Niners in a two-team teaser. I know I'm asking for it going against the Ravens now. But this game, to me, looks like it's coming right down to the wire. A tough, gritty, defensive game. I mean, I think this is going to be a fabulous, hard-hitting game. Listen, I'm not saying the Niners are going to win, but when I first looked at the game, I said move it to 10.5. And the Ravens, they can't just beat everyone by 30, 40 points, can they? I mean, imagine if they lay it on the Niners. Imagine if they beat the Niners by 30 points. My goodness. So I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to move it to 10.5 and take the Niners, thinking it's a very close game, a good game, coming right down to the end. But again, very dangerous, because the Ravens are just whacking teams right now. But when I have two good teams like that, I usually push the line ahead and take the points. At least the Niners maybe can keep it close. And the Ravens going to keep beating teams by 30? And it's a short week for the Ravens, too. We'll see. So I'll take a chance there with the Niners to at least keep it close. That's pick number 5. Must-watch game. Pick number 6. This is the Thanksgiving Thursday night game, which I don't need. Let's go to Hot Atlanta. With the New Orleans Saints a -5.5 against the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons down to 3-8, got obliterated by Tampa Bay. That's the Atlanta we all know and love. However do you want me? However do you need me? Back to life, back to reality, back to Atlanta. However do you want me? Atlanta, however do you need me? The Falcons, however do you want me? Dan Quinn, however do you need me? Matt Ryan, as Atlanta stunk it up. Down to 3-8, lost to Tampa Bay. Atlanta, for the first 2 months of the season, was flat out awful. Then, for some unknown reason, for 2 weeks against New Orleans and Carolina on the road, they played outstanding football and outstanding defense. Well, they weren't a one-hit wonder. They were a two-hit wonder because it all came crashing down on Atlanta as Tampa Bay just laid it on them. That's the Atlanta we all know and love. Yeah, Falcons. Old school. However do you want me? However do you need me? Back to life. Back to reality. Give me a little Dirty Bird as we're going old school. Yeah, Falcons. What a disgrace. Last place, got beat up by the Bucs in your own building. And by the way, that shiny new stadium down there in Atlanta, hasn't exactly been a hornet's nest. The Falcons lose basically every home game they play. Oh my goodness, how in the world did they beat the Saints the first time, 26-9? That's still a shocker of the year to me. And now they got the Saints again. Saints 5.5 in Atlanta. Saints up to 9-2, beat Carolina, but again, what's going on with the Saints? They're up 14-0, blow that lead. Then they're up 13-0, blew the lead again. Defense was horrible. Really could have lost this game. We're a hair away from losing this game to Carolina. And again, the penalties by New Orleans, just like we talked about in the first game against Atlanta. They had like at least 12 penalties in this game. They had 150 yards of penalties again. Sloppy football by New Orleans. They have to do better. They have to play better. The NFC is loaded. You can't play that sloppy and get away with it. You can do it against Carolina. You can do it against Tampa Bay. You can't do it against the Niners and those type of teams. You can't do it. Sloppy football by New Orleans. I couldn't believe they let Carolina back in the game a couple times and could have lost. And can the New Orleans defense find McCaffrey? A couple times on the goal line, McCaffrey's lined up in the backfield. He just goes out for wide open. A couple times. New Orleans never even covered him. You might want to cover McCaffrey down there at the goal line. You think? Oh, New Orleans. But anyway, I got to see that Atlanta can beat New Orleans twice in 1 year. I'm not convinced, especially after the egg Atlanta laid last week. So I'm going to move the line to pick them and take New Orleans. I think New Orleans is better. I think they're going to remember the first time they played Atlanta. I think they're going to come to play this week and they're going to get the job done. Atlanta showed me nothing last week. They reverted back to reality. Bombed at home by Tampa Bay. Ouch. So I'll move it to pick them and take New Orleans. New Orleans has to start to play better, though. Play better starting this week. You're a Super Bowl contender, so you say. Pick it up. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7. Let's go down to Houston, Texas. And I know all you people are saying, that's not how you pronounce Houston. It's not what you. I'm a New Yorker and I say Houston. With the New England Patriots a -4.5 against the Houston Texans. Texans up to 7-4, beat Indianapolis on Thursday Night Football. New England up to 10-1, had the hard-fought win in the rain against Dallas. New England, listen, like I've said, very good defense, offense spotty, but they are going to get some pieces back on offense, so they should get at least a little better on offense as we get towards the playoffs. So you know New England, they'll figure it out somehow, some way. I am going to move the line to 10.5 and take the Texans here. You know how I like taking good teams at home with points, and then with the teaser, I can move it even further. So with New England's offensive troubles, they don't score a lot of points, so I think Houston can at least hang around. And again, like Baltimore, I don't like going against these teams, but I think the Texans can at least keep it close. Another game you don't want to bet. You want to sit back and watch this game. This is another very good game. There's a lot of good games this weekend. So I'll sit back and watch this one. I wouldn't recommend playing a lot of money, but if I had to play a 2-team teaser, 10.5 with the Texans to at least keep it close. And one other point, every time I think of New England, I think of the Super Bowl, obviously. I heard that J-Lo, Shakira, and Gloria Estefan are the halftime show this year for the Super Bowl. Is there any more obnoxious couple in the world than J-Lo and A-Rod? How obnoxious and smug are these two? They are flat out nauseating, and I mean nauseating. And listen, A-Rod, he's good on ESPN as far as the analysis on Sunday Night Baseball. He's good. But he is a smug son of a gun. And J-Lo is the same way. And when you get them together, enough. Enough. So they just announced, and again, we're real football fans. We don't need a halftime show and all that nonsense at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is geared to people that parachute in once a year and watch football. Not for me and you that are there in the trenches every single week. So some people might have been blown away that they announced J-Lo as the halftime show. I could care less. As a matter of fact, it just annoys me, as my nephew would say. It's annoying. I mean, who cares that J-Lo's doing the halftime show with Shakira? I mean, let me guess, Shakira. My hips don't lie, I'm starting to feel you, boy. I'm sure we're going to get that one, right? And then Gloria Estefan, are we going to get the Miami Sound Machine as well? The rhythm is going to get you tonight. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, we're parading the Miami Sound Machine back out as well. But no more nauseating couple than J-Lo and A-Rod. I saw A-Rod on some talk show the other day. He's so smug and nauseating. Talking about all his vacations, him and J-Lo, talking where they went. Just all about themselves. Me, 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 me. Are you doing anything for charity, A-Rod? Are you doing anything for charity, J-Lo? You got more money than some continents. I hope you're helping other people, because all I hear about from you two is everything about yourself. Me, me, me. We went to this beach and this island, and A-Rod proposed to me. Who cares? Who cares, J-Lo? You're the same person that married Mark Anthony, who's the ugliest man in the world. I'm sick of these celebrities. I'm sick of celebrities in general. So many people in this country are obsessed with celebrities. Why? Why? And I'm not saying, listen, I love sports just as much as anyone else, and I like movies and all that kind of stuff. Why are people obsessed with celebrity lives? Shows dedicated to it. It's just nauseating. Madonna was seen, out at the steakhouse yesterday. Who cares? Madonna, who doesn't tip. I know people that work in fancy restaurants in the city, and they say Madonna doesn't tip. Madonna, who makes like $300 million a year, doesn't tip. Disgraceful, and she's just the type of person that wouldn't tip. And what's she doing for charity, by the way? I want to know. I want to know. More money than some continents, and all they talk about is themselves. Me, me, me. A-Rod talking about what beach he went to. Get real, A-Rod, you smug son of a gun. And I don't care that J-Lo's the halftime show. I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. I'm going to get something to eat at halftime. I don't need that circus. I can't stand the Super Bowl because of that. Super Bowl wasn't made for me and you. AFC and NFC championship game is for the real football fans. Super Bowl is made for the people that parachute once a year. Well, let's see the halftime show and the commercials and, the coin flip. Get real. And J-Lo and A-Rod, I hope you're doing something for charity. Because you two are annoying, you two smug son of a guns. Anyway, I like the Texans plus 10.5 in a 2-team teaser. Happy Thanksgiving, A-Rod. Pick number 8. Let's go to the Mile High City in Denver, where the LA Chargers are minus 2.5 against the Denver Broncos. Denver down to 3-8, lost to Buffalo, couldn't get anything done on offense at all. Chargers 4-7 on the bye. This is a bizarro game. Every game involving the Chargers is bizarre. Listen, I'm going to move the line to 8.5 and take Denver. Denver is usually a very good home team. They usually cover at home, and the Chargers are in nothing but crazy games. Nothing but wild and wacky games by the Chargers for the whole Phillip Rivers, era. So you got to think this game's coming down to the wire. Phillip Rivers, down 3 with the ball late, something like that. But I think Denver will play better this week at home and at least cover the 8.5 in a 2-team teaser. That's pick number 8. Pick number 9. Let's go to the jungle in Cincinnati. With the New York Football Jets are minus 3 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals 0-11, lost to Pittsburgh. Dalton back at quarterback this week. At this point, Bengals, just leave Dalton on the bench, get rid of him, and just go 0-16 and get the number 1 pick. And don't bother. How about the Jets lately? 4-7, won 3 straight, bombed Oakland, and they've scored 34 points 3 games in a row. And I know some Jet fans are around here have mentioned the word playoffs. Now listen, the Jets are playing better. They're 2 games out of a playoff spot. I'm not quite ready to say the Jets and playoffs in the same sentence. Back to our buddy Jim Mora. Playoffs? Jets 4-7? Playoffs? Let's calm that down. Until the Bengals win a game, I will keep picking against them. Jets have won 3 in a row. They've looked very good the last 3 weeks. Bombed Oakland. I got to take the Jets here in the money line. I have to. I know the great Andy Dalton is quarterbacking, but that doesn't do it for me. Jets make it 4 in a row. Money line. That's pick number 9. Pick number 10. This is the early Thanksgiving game. 12:30, by the way. You don't know how many times I put on my TV set at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Thanksgiving, and the game was already, into the second quarter. 12:30, the early game on Thanksgiving. Not that this is a great game. Let's go to Detroit, where the Chicago Bears are now -1 against the Detroit Lions. Early line had Detroit actually favored. Chicago now is a slight favorite. Chicago up to 5-6, did come back and beat the Giants after laying an egg in the first half. Did play a little better in the second half. Ho-hum. Bears up to 5-6, and then you got the Lions. Three 7-1 and lost to Washington. Lost to Washington. Lions have the ball late in this game, and what do? What does that backup quarterback Driscoll do? He throws it right to a Washington defender, setting up the game-winning field goal for Washington. Just deplorable football by the Lions. They are done. They're shot. Stafford out for the year. Running back hurt. The defense stinks. They are an absolute mess. What a disgrace. I can't believe the Lions are 3-7-1 again. And again, they are in last place. Oh, my goodness, Detroit. Oh, my goodness, Detroit. Detroit's having a lot of bad sports this season. Red Wings are awful. Tigers were awful. I mean, I don't expect much from the Pistons. Michigan State football was terrible. A rough year up there in Detroit. And Patricia, enough of him with that stupid pencil on the sidelines. He stands there all the time with the confused look on his face. How did we lose to Washington? He's got that look. He stands there like Buddha. How did we lose to Washington? You lost to Washington because your team stinks and your backup quarterback threw it to the wrong team with a minute left. Patricia, and take that pencil out of your ear and stick it somewhere else. Stick it somewhere else, Patricia. Sitting there like King Tut on the sidelines. Like, how did we lose to Washington? You stink, that's why. You're not New England. As much as you want to be, you're not going to be. Patricia. And Patricia keeps getting bigger and bigger every time I see him. Remember the original Blob with Steve McQueen? Remember he was a little blob, and then by the end of the movie he was this giant thing? Well, that's what I feel like every time they show Patricia. He keeps expanding all the time. Maybe you can take that pencil and pop him. And take that pencil and stick it somewhere else, Patricia, because I'm sick of you. And I'm sick of watching these Lions year after year muck it up. If I had to play this game, when I saw Detroit was favored by 1 with the early line, I moved it to 7 and took Chicago. Now Chicago's favored by 1. I'll still take Chicago. You only get 5 points now in a 2-team teaser, but I have to think it's at least going to be close. The first game, Chicago won 20-13. Should be that type of game again, like a messy, sloppy, ugly 16-12 game or something. I like Chicago here. I would probably favor them to win, and I'll take the 5 points in the 2-team teaser. Not that it's one of my favorite plays. I cannot take the Lions on general principle and that ridiculous Patricia anymore, that silly backup quarterback. You lost to Washington. You lost to Washington, who lost to the Jets 34 to whatever it was, 3-10, I forgot what it was. How did you lose to Washington? Washington, who had one win this year against Miami when Miami missed a 2-point conversion. You couldn't beat Washington? Take Chicago. That's pick number 10. Pick number 11. Let's go out to Arizona with the LA Rams a -3.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona 3-7-1 off the bye. They've been very competitive this year. Despite the 3-7-1 record, they've been in most of the games. Rams 6-6, bombed by Baltimore, as I talked about. What a disappointing year for the Rams. Terrible offensive line. Quarterback has taken a step back. Coach, the guru, what happened to you? And the defense, which was supposed to be good, just got trashed last night. Trashed last night. Embarrassing performance on Monday Night Football. A must win for the Rams. And I know the Ravens are good, but can you at least be somewhere in the stratosphere of this game? Oh my goodness. On general principle, I'm moving the line to 9.5 and taking Arizona. They've been in just about all their games this year, and the Rams showed me nothing last night, and their offense is not any good anymore. So I have to at least think this is going to be low scoring. I have to at least think the Cardinals are going to hang around. Like I said, they've hung around in just about all their games, had a chance to win most of the games. Could have beat San Francisco twice. Couple breaks here and there. Lost to them both times. Both games were close. I have to think they have enough at home to hang around against the Rams, who look like they're going backwards. What a terrible year by the Rams. That's pick number 11. No, I'm sorry, pick number 10. No, pick number 11, I think. Losing track here, folks. That was pick number 11. Pick number 12. Pick number 12. Let's go down to Jacksonville with the Jacksonville Jaguars on -1.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll tell you, who gets more respect with the spread than Jacksonville? Oh my goodness. Jacksonville down to 4-7. They got destroyed by Tennessee last week. Destroyed by Tennessee. They made Henry look like Jim Brown running down the field, and so much for Jacksonville's defense, by the way. So much for that big bad Jacksonville defense, and we're going to flex on them. That defense stinks. Oh, they got destroyed, and here they are favored. Tampa Bay, 4-7, beat Atlanta. Tampa Bay's flaky. They're as flaky as their head coach. Winston's flaky. He's got a lot of talent, but you just don't know what you're going to get from Winston. One day he throws 400 yards, no interceptions. The next week he'll come out and throw 7 interceptions. They are a flaky team, Tampa Bay, as flaky as their head coach. But I can't take Jacksonville. I'm sorry, I've seen enough from them. And they're favored here? Or for what? Have you seen their performances the last few weeks? Stunk it up in London against the Texans. Had a bye week, then stunk it up again against the Colts, and then stunk it up even worse against the Titans. And here they are favored against a team that just won last week. And I know Tampa's not great. I'm moving the line to 7.5, and I'm taking the Bucs in a 2-team teaser. I'm not taking Jacksonville. They've been blown out 3 times in the last month. They've done nothing. Quarterback problems, defense things. What have they shown you that they deserve to be favored? At least Tampa Bay occasionally shows you something. Oh my God. So I will go Tampa Bay 2-team teaser. That is pick number 12. Pick number 13. Let's go to Kansas City, where the Kansas City Chiefs are -9 against the Oakland Raiders. Chucky! And by the way, Chucky wasn't happy after the performance Oakland laid in the Meadowlands against the Jets. And by the way, I took the Jets. I told you that was a strange game. Raiders now have a lot of injuries, and they are not looking good lately. Barely beat the Bengals and got obliterated by the Jets. Now, having said that, this is a very important game. The Raiders are only a game behind the Chiefs. Chiefs at home -9 against Oakland. Oakland down to 6-5. Shouldn't have even made the trip to New Jersey. That's how bad they were. So they're down to 6-5. By the way, the Raiders' schedule is just ridiculous. Again, they go all the way across the country to play the Jets after not playing a home game for 2 months earlier in the year. Now, Thanksgiving week, they got to go back to Kansas City. Who made up the Raiders' schedule? Very tough. Carr benched last week. It was just a mess. Gruden was hysterical in the postgame. He apologized to all the fans that came out. He was talking about the long trip from Oakland. We played bad on offense, defense. We fumbled the ball. He listed about 100 things they did wrong. Chiefs, they're up to 7-4 off the bye. Listen, the safe way to play this game, 3-team teaser, move it to pick 'em and take the Chiefs. That's the safe way to play it. Chiefs are home, monster game, and the Raiders have not shown you anything the last 2 weeks. Barely beat the Bengals. Bombed by the Jets. A ton of injuries. Schedule has been murder. I know this is a monster game, and the Raiders can tie for first with a win. You would hope they'd play better here. The safe play is taking Kansas City in a 3-team teaser. It really is. So that's how I would go in that game. So that is my pick there. Kansas City. That is pick number 13. Pick number 14. Let's go to Indianapolis, where the Indianapolis Colts are -3.5 against the Tennessee Titans. Colts down to 6-5, lost a tough game to the Texans. Tennessee up to 6-5, bombed Jacksonville. I mean, Henry was awesome in that game. Definitely the right move by Tennessee going to Tannehill. Definitely has improved them. Definitely the right move. Mariota to me is a bust. This is a big game in the grand scheme of things as far as the AFC playoff picture with that last playoff spot. There are a ton of teams fighting for that last spot, including these two teams. This is a must-win game for both teams. So having said that, I'm going to move it to 9.5 and take Tennessee. I think it's a white knuckler, a field goal game. There'll be a lot of Tennessee fans in the house. Colts still without their running back. I think it's going to be close. It has to be close. It's that type of game. It means too much. I can't see either one of them blowing out the other. Field goal game either way. I'll move it to 9.5 and take Tennessee. It's a very intriguing game. So that is pick number 14. Pick number 15. Let's go to Seattle, where the Seattle Seahawks are -3 against the Minnesota Vikings. Seattle up to 9-2, beat Philadelphia. How about Seattle this year? What a season they're having, winning all the close games, undefeated on the road. Still only a game back in the Niners. They beat the Niners. They keep pace with the Niners and beat them the last game in Seattle. Seattle's gonna jump them. I told you last week. It's possible the Niners could go 14-2 and be a wild card team. That's how close things are between Seattle and the Niners right now. And that win Seattle had in San Francisco could be big at the end of the year. Seattle doing a tremendous job. Minnesota, they're 8-3 off the bye. They have now tied with Green Bay. They also have one more game left against Green Bay in Minnesota. So you got a lot of things cooking here. This is another awesome game. Awesome game. Must-watch game. So to me, and I've been consistent, when you have a game like this that could go either way, tough game either way, 2-team teaser, I'll move it to 9 and say the game's close. I have to think it's going to be close. Seattle's in a lot of close games. They've won most of them. And I just think it's got to be a close game. The game is so important to both teams. So this game means so much in the NFC playoff picture for the divisions and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to take the 9 points and take Minnesota and say it's close. Another must-watch game. That's pick number 15. And pick number 16, the final pick. Let's go to the Steel City in Pittsburgh, where the Cleveland Browns are -1.5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is another game that has playoff ramifications. The Browns have crept up there now. They're 5-6. They're knocking right on the door. They're only a game behind all these teams for a playoff spot. Browns 5-6, beat Miami. Browns playing the best ball they've played all year. Steelers up to 6-5, beat Cincinnati. They went to the third-string quarterback in this game. He ignited them. We'll see if they go back to the second string. Pittsburgh, all sorts of offensive problems. Remember, Connor's hurt. Schuster's hurt. We don't even know if they're going to play. Pittsburgh would really need them back on the field in this game. And I don't know who's quarterbacking. All the bad blood between these two teams, the history a couple weeks ago, what went on. It's a very, very strange game. I do not recommend playing this game. I usually like taking Pittsburgh at home, getting points. They're getting 1.5. In a 2-team teaser, I can make it 7.5. I think it's going to be close. If you told me Cleveland was going to win, I couldn't argue with you. They're playing their best ball of the year, but with all the stuff going on with this game, and the Steelers usually play well as a home underdog. And if I can push it to 7.5 in a two-team teaser, I think the Steelers can keep it under a touchdown. First time these two teams met on Thursday Night Football was 21-7, but that game was 14-7 late, and the Steelers had a ton of turnovers in that game, and the defense still held them in the game. I think they could keep them in the game here as well. Not saying they're going to win. Cleveland is hot right now, and there's definitely a case to take Cleveland. But to me, I'll take a chance and take Pittsburgh with the 7.5. They usually cover as a home dog, so I will take Pittsburgh there, but a very tough game. And like I said this week, maybe take the week off. There's a lot of tough games. It's Thanksgiving week, holiday week. You don't have to bet every week. Maybe just sit back and enjoy the games. The college football this week is awesome. It's rivalry week. Hard to believe we're already down to the final games in college football. That's how fast the season goes. And you got a lot of very good games in the NFL this week. Dallas-Buffalo is a very good game. Baltimore-San Francisco is to die for. New England-Houston, good game. What else we got here? Kansas City, Oakland, very important. Colts, Tennessee, very important. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, very important. And Seattle, Minnesota, excellent games. So you got some very good games this week. Maybe bet light this week. I mean, I had a monster week this week. I may take the week off this week, and if I do bet, it'll be very light. I mean, you don't have to bet every game every week. I tell you that with the Super Bowl. It's one game. You don't have to bet it. This is a very tricky week, this Thanksgiving week. But there you go. You guys are all set. You guys are all ready for your Thanksgiving feast. If you do bet, pick a lot of winners, make a lot of money, enjoy your holiday, enjoy the food, enjoy the games. Thanks as always for the support. I will talk to you guys next Tuesday. We'll be in December already. Hard to believe. Again, thank you guys so much for the support. Not only this year, but over the years. I have such a loyal audience. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, so I'm very thankful for you guys. Again, happy holidays. I'll talk to you next Tuesday. Pick a lot of winners. Take care.